Hello and welcome to episode number 333. This is the Project Management Podcast at pm-podcast.com, and I'm Cornelius Fichtner. Thank you for joining us. If you are looking to boost your project manager career, then you are very likely thinking along the lines of getting a mentor, taking on stretch assignments, going back to school, or get a degree or certification, or maybe even improving your public speaking skills. But most likely you haven't thought about accelerating your project manager career path through thought leadership in project management and joining the ranks of famous project managers out there. If you are a project manager who wants to become PMP or PMI ACP certified, then the easiest way to do so is with our sister podcast, the Project Management Prepcast or the Agile Prepcast, and study for the exam by watching the in-depth exam prep video training from pmprepcast.com. Oh, and if you think that becoming a thought leader in project management is hard to do, then think again. Our guest, Dr. Imad Rahim, assures us that talking about what you love, project management, through writing, speaking, or simply by finding and sharing pertinent articles will make you get noticed as a thought leader in our profession. It's a simple but powerful concept to boost your career in project management. And now think about it for a minute and then enjoy the interview.
The Project Management Podcasts feature interview.
Today with Dr. Imad Rahim, appointed Endowed Entrepreneur in Residence for Oklahoma State University and visiting scholar at Rutgers University.
Hello, Imad. Welcome back to the Project Management Podcast.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so we want to talk about thought leadership in project management. Most of our listeners, they are going to be active project managers. They have their project problems to think about. What's in it for them? Why should they be interested in being a thought leader?
Well, thought leadership is something that we all should aspire to do and provide. Because at the end of the day, as project managers, we are technically entrepreneurs, right? We're always looking for that next contract, that next job. Well, in order for us to be successful in getting that contract and get the next job, people need to know who we are, know our expertise, know our background. And that comes from thought leadership, that we are leaders on this topic, on this aspect of project management. So that's what's in it for them. It's money, right? It's opportunities, and to increase their network and sense of awareness of the project management industry.
You are an educator and trainer, and you always advocated on the importance of education. So I assume that project management education, project management training is probably your top pick when it comes to becoming a thought leader in project management, right?
It is, because we can't really explain what we do unless we have done it, right? We can't be an expert on something if we have never experienced it, if we have never executed on it. And that comes from our education, that comes from our experience, that comes from training. So it's important for us to get enough training for us to get enough education. And when I say enough, I mean that you become confident in what you're talking about, in what you are saying, and what you are recommending. Obviously, education is always lifelong learning. It's always continuous, right? But you should be able to have enough education, enough training that you are updated on what's happening in your industry, that you are aware of the problems, but also aware of the solutions, because that's what your clients want. They want the solutions, but they want to know that you have experienced these problems, that you have worked with clients that have gone through these problems and know that these solutions have worked. Right. So that's where it comes from. So that education, that training is vital. It's important. And it also boosts your level of confidence when you are speaking on that subject as a thought leader, and also when you're explaining this topic to your client and to the public.
What about leveraging your colleagues and other professionals in your circles?
That's very important, because no man is on an island, right? We always hear that phrase, that no man is an island. Well, no project manager is on an island. We work with people from various industries. So we should utilize people's backgrounds and expertise. I did not learn everything about project management from a book. I did not learn about project management from one company, right? So I have a circle of mentors, friends, and colleagues that have provided me with tools and techniques and different perspectives on project management. So it's always important to leverage these people, go to different functions, go to different events, go to conferences, get to know your colleagues, get to know your client, reach out to people on social media based on their expertise, based on their background that you find interesting. So it's always important to try to leverage your colleagues and your network. And when I say leverage, we're not talking about being an opportunist, right? We don't want someone to try to take advantage of someone's background or someone's knowledge. We're talking about leveraging, which means that it's a partnership, right? You're trying to develop strong relationships so you can offer some guidance, some support to someone, and they can do the same thing for you.
Yeah, I agree with that, because whenever I meet somebody new in the project management circles, usually the first thing that I ask them or ask myself is, how can I help you? What is it that I can do for you? So I'm trying to be helpful to them. And I have found that actually is a very good approach, because it in that way you come across as wanting to help and not just the guy you get people talking about you badly, saying he just sucks you dry, versus this is somebody who gives to you.
Exactly. You come off as being very genuine, right? As being likable, because you are pursuing them because you have a common interest, right? You're trying to provide them some support versus trying to get their business.
So yeah, I agree. Leveraging and highlighting the people in your network, very important. You already mentioned a few items here. What can you do if your network is limited? And you mentioned about traveling and going to various places. What if you can't do that? How can you increase your network and build a strong network if you are not somebody who has the opportunity to go to all these congresses?
That's a great point, because you could be a brand new project manager, someone that is making a career change, and that makes a lot of sense that you may not have that network. Regardless of where you're located, often there's some type of professional group, whether it's a PMI chapter, whether it's a Six Sigma chapter, whether it's a student affiliated professional group that focuses on project management. There's always some type of network that exists. You just have to do that research, right? I mean, when we think of entrepreneurship, we think of the local small business chambers, we think of SCORE and all these other chapters. Project management is very similar to that. But even outside of project management, we can also look at industry, right? We could look at Agile, we could look at Scrum, we can look at Lean Sigma from the manufacturing. All these tools, techniques, and knowledge that are being shared often are being shared within certain groups. They could be professional groups, they could be community groups, they could be academic related, right? But also, there are conferences that are happening in local cities and local towns. So it's important to just to do that research and figure out exactly where your common interests are, so you could pursue those opportunities by going to those places and reaching out to those people, and also utilize your social network. Right, LinkedIn is a powerful tool. I have formed a lot of great relationships through LinkedIn. I can actually see people's background, look at the blogs they publish, see who's in their network, see what type of jobs they had. Also identify if they are sharing certain tools and techniques in their toolkit that is open source. And it's an easy way to kind of connect with people. And you'll be surprised how accessible some of these people are. I've reached out to someone like Dr. Harold Kersner on LinkedIn, who's kind of like the godfather of project management. And he has he reached out back to me. He responded. He answered my question. He connected with a local friend of mine that was trying to run a project management chapter event, and he ended up becoming a speaker there. So it's a powerful tool.
Very nice. You yourself, you have a strong following on your project management blogs and columns. Would you recommend that project managers try publishing, try writing in order to becoming a thought leader?
Well, thought leadership has changed dramatically in the last few years. A few years ago, I would say yes. I would say the only way for you to gain that reputation, gain that respect, and be considered a thought leader is to really publish your ideas, publish your research, publish your findings and case studies and so forth, and make it viewable to the public or put it in some type of academic journal. But thought leadership has changed so dramatically because of social media. You could easily do a quick blog. You could do a video chat. You could do what you're doing is a podcast, right? So you could share your message in so many different ways. But the important piece is to make sure you stick to that brand, right? That you don't go outside of that brand. Utilize those platforms, those social media websites, those tools that you are comfortable with, that speaks to your brand and will reach out to the network that you want, and stick to it and have fun with it, right? So that's what I would recommend.
Talking about social networks here, you mentioned, you can have a quick blog and write about the things you think about. Do you have to have original thought? Because many people nowadays, they share on social media. Here you go. I found this great article written by Joe. Here is a fantastic video from Susan. They share these to their network in social media, be it LinkedIn, be it Twitter, Facebook, wherever it may be, that is focused on, their industry. Is that enough to becoming a thought leader?
Well, it depends on your viewership. If people that follow you come to seek your advice, come to look for your information, then you are a thought leader in their circle. You're a thought leader in their minds, right? As you grow that following and those people continue to share your information. So for example, if I am constantly talking about risk management and my blogs have a strong viewership and it's being shared, and I have a podcast that talks about risk management, and that is being viewed and being shared. And then I'm being invited to speak at conferences about, risk management, and universities are inviting me to also teach on risk management. Then I am a thought leader in risk management to those people, right? So it really depends on how you want to position yourself and what people see you as based on what you are describing, explaining, sharing, and publishing.
Okay. That requires a bit of expertise. You have to have some background. And I think it was Harold Kersner, actually, who said that we project managers, we spend 90% of time communicating. And much of what we've spoken about now is communicating your experience. So as a thought leader, you have to be a communicator. What is something impactful that a new project manager can do in order to communicate their, albeit limited, expertise to maybe stakeholders, potential clients?
I think the important piece, first off, is not try to show off. Right? We tend to try to show off when we're new to a certain job, when we are meeting a client for the first time. Really, the act of communication is being consistent, right? The client wants to know what you are doing, how you're doing it, and what's your progress in doing it. So creating a communication management plan where you are actively engaged with that stakeholder or many stakeholders and really communicating what they want to hear, because it may not have anything to do with that expertise that you're thinking about, right? Every stakeholder may want something different in that communication. And based on how you communicate that information to them, how you share it, how you present it, that will give them that level of confidence in your ability to execute this project and be successful in this project. So I don't think it has to do with when it comes to this communication between you and the stakeholder. it's being consistent.
We talked about speaking, we talked about sharing, blogging, writing, podcasting even. It takes a lot of time.
It does. It takes a lot of time. I'm not going to lie.
I know, because podcasting is an enormous amount of work. Is it worth it?
I think it is. Especially if you enjoy it. I have gotten a lot of business, and I think you can probably, can speak on that same level, that when you do these type of things and people get value, because at the end of the day, you're trying to provide value. If people see value in what you're saying, what you're presenting, you will get opportunities. So I have gotten many business opportunities because of the things that I was putting out there. And people saw value in it, and people shared that, and they got results. So if they got value in what you were saying, and they ended up getting results based on your recommendations, they are more likely to come to you. They are more likely to recommend you to their companies, to their clients. So when it comes to the blog posts that I publish, or the presentations I do on YouTube, or the lessons I provide to my clients, if it provides value, it creates opportunities. Does it take a lot of time? Yes, it does. Right? Does it cause me to to stay up late sometimes to write these blogs, or be on a plane and and put together a script for my presentation? It does take time, but you should enjoy what you are doing. You should love what you are doing, and if people see value in it, then it's going to create more opportunities for your business.
Yeah, and let me follow up on that, because it's not only about providing value to the people who are reading, listening, getting your information. It's also about the personal satisfaction. To me, I find it always wonderful when I get an email from somebody who said, that was a really fantastic interview. I've learned something from you and your guests. So the value I provide to my listeners, my followers, and then their feedback to me saying, that was great, to me is wonderful personal satisfaction.
I totally can empathize with that, because you can know everything, right? You can know everything about project management. You can know everything about risk management. But if you can't share it, right? If no one knows that you have all of this knowledge and no one can use it, it means nothing.
Yeah, and another thought that I had just now, coming back to a previous question that I had for you about, is it enough to be sharing something? I'd like to also frame this in a slightly different way. It's more about curation and less about sharing. If you find an article that you like and that is of value, don't just post it on LinkedIn and say, read this, and a link. Instead, give a short synopsis. Say, this is a great article if you are interested in risk management because it has helped me to solve the problem, blah, 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 blah. So give us a little bit of background of why we should be reading a particular article or view a particular video that you are finding. That alone, by doing that, by providing this additional curation, this quick overview, that will make people want to look at what you have to say, because they see that, oh, he's not just giving me a link, he's telling me why this is important, how I can use it. So that's a way to providing value as well, right there.
I totally agree with that. Yes, it's about marketing. Right? I mean, There's so much noise out there. People post thousands and millions of stuff out there. So if you can put a personal touch on it, then you're marketing it, and people will more likely click on it and read that because they see that you have done that.
How do you personally help your students to become thought leaders? What is it that you do for them in order to help them advance into that direction? How do you guide them?
Well, as a teacher, it's my job to give them the education, the knowledge, the experience, and the skills they need to become professional project managers. It can come from internships, it comes from lessons, it could come from mentorship, coaching, and things like that. But I want to make sure that they are confident when they leave. When they leave my class, when they leave the program, that they are confident in project management and they are willing to share that information, that they are willing to take what they absorbed in that classroom, take that experience that they have learned in that internship or from the full-time job that they work every day, and then share that information, right? That they are confident, that they have the self-esteem to actually share that information, execute on that information, provide results, positive results based on those tools and techniques that we shared in class. So my job as an educator to help my students become thought leaders is really equip them with the knowledge, the tools, the resources, everything that they need in order to speak towards that perspective of project management that they want to specialize in.
Becoming a thought leader in project management means you have to take the first step. So at one point, you yourself, you have to stand up and say, yeah, okay, I have something to say here. I want to do this. So in closing here, all great recommendations so far. Let's give our listeners some idea on how to get started down that path. What are some of the tips, some of the actions that you can leave us with today that will allow our listeners to become thought leaders in project management, get them started on the path?
I'll give you two great tips, two tips that actually saved me from overdoing it. First is stick to what you know. Right? Don't be a jack of all trades in project management. Don't be a jack of all trades really in anything. You want to show that you are specialized in something, right? That you have spent a lot of hours doing this, reading about it, researching, having fun on this topic. And then people are more likely to gravitate towards what you're saying because they know your background. They know what you speak is truth because you've been through it, versus showing that you read a bunch of stuff and that you had discussions about a bunch of stuff and you're putting that stuff out there. It's not really creating value. That's just your opinion. That's more noise out there. So stick with what you know and let that become your brand, right? We know that Nike is a great shoe brand. They don't make cars, right? They don't make houses. They stick to shoes. So stick to your brand. Second piece, don't see this thought leadership strategy that we've been talking about here, right? These ideas as more work added on to, your workload. I totally understand that many of your listeners that are doing project management or thinking about project management, or even they are consultants in that industry, they have a lot on their plate and they think, I don't have time to write. I don't have time to do these video chats. I don't have time to do these things. Don't see it as more work. See it as a hobby, right? If you truly enjoy talking about this, if you truly enjoy reading about this, why not write about it? Why not share? Why not present? Because you already know this stuff, right? So see it as an opportunity for you to do something you love. See it as a new hobby, right? And then integrate that in your daily life, right? And I think you do this also, Cornelius, that you probably have tons of different apps and tools, and it just becomes, the basics, right? You pretty much, It becomes routine.
Yeah, I mean, this podcast here started out as a hobby of mine, and here we are 10 years later.
Exactly. And you have a strong following, so It's more than a hobby now.
Yes, it is. All right, excellent. Imad, thank you so much for coming back on the program today and telling us how to become thought leaders in project management. We appreciate your time.
Well, thank you for having me. Have a wonderful day, and thank you very much for providing me the opportunity.
And that was our thought leadership interview with Dr. Imad Rahim. That's it. Thank you very much for listening. As always, you can find us on the web at pm-podcast.com. Please send your emails to info@pm-podcast.com, and when you write, please tell me where in the world you are writing from. Also, please don't forget to stop by at pmprepcast.com if you want to study for the PMP exam, or agileprepcast.com if you're thinking about becoming a PMI Agile certified practitioner. And finally, we have this. One of the true tests of leadership is the ability to recognize a problem before it becomes an emergency. Until next time.